And good afternoon. It is Wednesday, September 27th, just after 1:30 p.m. Frank Prozich joins me. How are you, Frank?
I'm doing fine. How are you doing?
And let's bring up our third co-host of this MLB baseball show. That is Newport School Superintendent Colleen Jermain. How are you?
Very well. Happy afternoon, everyone.
Yes.
Colleen, is the rumor true that you're now an Orioles fan?
No. Just because they say Baltimore doesn't mean I'm an Orioles fan.
When we're warming up here, for those who are watching, we have a minute to talk, and we were talking about baseball. And so there we are. And Frank, the Red Sox are 76 and 81. They are in last place behind the Yankees. They're let's see here, 22 games back from your Baltimore Orioles.
Yeah, I don't think they can overtake us.
Not in 5 games. Superintendent, nice to see you twice this month and this back to school month. What is how are the first couple of weeks of school going?
They're going well. We've had the typical little glitches here and there. We've got all our buses on schedule now, moving on time, and everyone's happy about that. Schedules are in place for all our students. We actually had our first open house yesterday. Pell was a buzzing. It was a lot of fun, a lot of smiling faces, little ones, big ones, parents. It was good. We had our community partner, Quinnick community table out there because we have the gardens out there. So the students were actually sharing the food and people were having little salads. And it was a great night. Great night. Tonight we have Thompson. They're at 5:30. So Thompson will have their open house with Dr. Browner, his first as building principal. And then next Wednesday night is Rogers High School open house. So, yep, we're back into the full swing of things. We're moving forward.
Colleen, what do you think? I'm curious about the atmosphere at Pell now that all the renovations are up, the new school. Is there still that excitement carrying over?
Oh, definitely. Anytime you're having a bad day, go to a PK or kindergarten room, and it just changes your whole perspective on the day. No, there's a lot of excitement. We're very lucky. Elementary teachers, all teachers have to be creative, but elementary teachers have that energy when the children come in. It just kind of perks everyone up into smiling faces and happy times. There's a lot of focus though on our math and our ELA. So we do, and we will continue the science of reading professional development for our teachers. For those of you in the audience that may not be aware, the General Assembly a few years back, I think around 2019-2020, regulated that all teachers in all grade levels, PK through 12, have to take some training and in reading. Those at the secondary level take an awareness proficiency course, and those at the elementary take a proficiency. Those at the elementary, it's a 60+ hour professional development, almost like taking a full year course. I actually did it the first year with our team so that I could at least have the experience, the knowledge, and help support our teachers in what they're trying to implement in the classrooms. And then for the secondary level, they take the awareness. That's a little bit lighter in the sense of it's about a 10 to 15 hour commitment for our teachers, but it is all mandatory. And by 2026, I believe, all teachers have to have that training.
Superintendent, you mentioned open house for Rogers is next week, right?
Next Wednesday night, 5:30 to 7. Yes.
Will a little bit of that also have to do with anything to do with the construction process and what's going on with the building, or?
I haven't talked to Principal Vance about what he is going to have an informational session from 5:30 to 6 with parents and visitors. In general, I think his presentation is more going to be on what's being offered at the school, graduation requirements. I think he's focused more on that. No, he might give a brief update. Right now, our schedule has us going into the new building in 2025. We're always looking to move that forward. And he may have some updates, just in general. I know on Friday evening, I was on my way to a Boys and Girls Club event. On the way, I stopped by the 50th Rogers High School reunion, and I dropped off a bunch of some of our poster boards. You've seen them. Some are right behind me right now. Just to kind of share with the alumni what's going on. I'll be following up with the members of that class to see if they want me to do a presentation or whatnot. When I came in, they're having a party. I'm on my way to an event, but I went to place everything. And then a few people went, "Oh, you're going to give a presentation tonight?" And I'm like, "No, you're all having a big party here. I'm not going to interrupt the party to do a presentation," but I'm more than happy to do that. I do believe, Ryan, to your point, we're going to have to take the show on the road because we will need additional support from our community and work together as a community to fill the budget gap we have right now. Right now, it's approximately about 12.6 million. We are working on that to try to reduce that, and we'll just have to try to think of some creative ways. We did fill out a stage 1 and submitted that to help us as far as having some kind of backup plan. It does not commit the city or anyone else to, at this point in time, for any funding. We did, and we do have some revisions and updates we have to make to that stage 1 because we did need someone from the city to send in that application, and our OPM in the past has always submitted the applications, not all of them, but some without that. It's just to get us in the queue. So we'll have some work to do with that on the next month or so, plus have further conversations with everyone on how we want to proceed to make sure that we get the building, the voters approved, built. And right now, everything except the track is in that building. And just for clarification for some of the viewers, the cosmetology and auto program come up a lot. They were not in the original stage 1 back in 2019, because at that point in time, the CTE board did not approve them as wage earning career opportunities. Since then, and I have to say I credit Director Young and a lot of other CTE career tech directors, they challenged that. So now the CTE board does support auto and cosmetology business. So we're looking to also think of a plan to get those into the building. They are part of the design. They were part of the original design until we got hit with the inflation and escalation of pricing and supply shortages and timelines. But so we do have plans that have those modules that can easily be put back in.
Do they, in that 12.6 million, does that include cosmetology and automotive, or are they not included in that? So they would be on top of that?
Correct. That is
and
correct.
how much do you presume that they would, or project that they would cost in addition?
At one time when we, and I can't be held to these numbers. I've learned the hard way that the pricing changes all the time. But at one time it was about, I think another 7 million on top of that to have those programs. But again, I'm full disclosure, do not hold me to that number, because these numbers have changed when we've gone out to bid and when we've tried to have supplies. But that is something, Frank, we do need to sit down and discuss how we're going to get those back into the building. But the first priority is to build the building that the voters approved with the programming they approved. So that's what we'll focus on first.
Looking at the costs, and I'm looking at what's going on around the state. Warwick just released its funds for its schools, new schools. I heard from people in the Westerly area that what was projected as and I don't know if they're anywhere near it, they're talking about on a $50 million building project that they probably are short by about 15 million. Are the costs at Rogers stabilized, or are they still escalating?
So how they determined the costs is they went out to bid. Gilbane, our construction company, went out to bid. So we have bids that have come back in. We've bid out everything, I think, except for 2 items, which we have in a contingency fund in the GMP, the guaranteed maximum price from our construction company. So we have hard numbers. Now, because and anyone that's involved in construction or has done any building in the past, because the bids come in and then when they go to work, we expect them, once we sign the contract, to stay within those costs. We hope they do. And the reason I pause on that is because there have been times in other construction projects I've heard that, this is what the pricing was, this is what they signed for. And then they come back and say, well, I can't get that material anymore I'm making the number up $100. It's now costing $200. So what do you want to do? We either default on the contract, you don't get your project finished. What do you want to do? So those are the things that we have to be mindful of and we have to look out for. And we just keep moving forward and hopefully everything that has been bid out, that we have received the pricing for, it has a life, bids are good for only X amount of days. So we either award them or we don't. And those that we've had to award for the project we have. Our OPM, Joe DeSanti, was very clear when we went over the GMP at our last meeting that we will never put anything in front of the school building committee that does not have funding to support it. So he does have a plan. He did briefly share that plan with us at the last meeting. We'll go over it more on Monday evening and work with our school building committee to see how they would like to proceed as far as keeping the project moving forward and at the same time staying within our budget. So we do have some thoughts on how to do that.
Superintendent, sounds like we will definitely be going, not we, but you may be going back to the voters to get this additional money. When, in the ideal world, when would it be voted on?
Well, that's actually what's under discussion, Ryan. Will we do that? And I think that's something that the school building committee on Monday night, I think that's going to be part of the discussion. It's actually, I was looking at a draft agenda just an hour ago, and that's something we're going to talk about.
Do they have a deadline to make that decision?
Pardon?
Do they have a deadline to make that decision?
Not at the moment right now, but on Monday night, they may say, all right, we need to make a decision on what we're going to do. The stage 1 we've submitted. So let's say we played that out and people said, let's go for the stage 1 to your question about going to bond. So we go to stage 1. I believe we have to have everything in by February. Then it goes before the council. That's the secondary and elementary council up at RIDE. That goes in May. And then from there, that's when you start your campaigning or whatever and possibly put it on a November ballot, possibly. If that is the decision that the school building committee, and I would hope working with our partners on the city council and the full school committee would agree is the best avenue to pursue. I do believe, though, a conversation about what other options could we possibly think of and how would we do that will also come up on Monday.
So it sounds like it wouldn't be a special election, which is
No,
good.
no, I don't think they'd do a special. I personally, and this is only my opinion, I don't think they'd do. I want to be clear, it's my opinion. I don't think they'd do a special election. I think they'd have it,
if there's any barometer, it could be the city of East Providence, where they went out and they got their bond for the high school, built the high school, went out for another bond, and got approval even greater than the first bond from the residents. Oh, it's I guess it has to do how well you sell the prospects.
Just gotta put pickleball carts there. That's all.
Yeah, there you go. And I believe East Providence was a middle school. I
think so. Yeah.
Was it? I don't know if it was to do any. I know there were some little tweaks and things they needed
Yeah, I don't recall exactly what it was. All I know is I was kind of impressed that the residents, after spending so much money on a new high school, turned around and were very supportive of additional construction. So that said a lot for them.
It does.
I see where both the school department and the city are in the process of strategic plans. Are
Yes.
they being done in coordination with one another? And then my other question on the strategic plan is, how far out will it go? And will part of that be yet another effort at merger with Middletown?
So, okay, so our strategic planning processes are separate. The school department is doing its own Q&A, working with parents, community members. We want everyone's voice. So it's not, we're excluding anyone. It's just that it's a separate process. We actually started discussions in June and we did planning. And as a matter of fact, the facilitator is here going through our classes today at Rogers, Thompson, and Pell. We have a focus group set up, and the QR code and will be on the walls of all the schools during open house. And I'm also sending it out in my update, and we also will have the principals send it out in their weekly message. So that is the strategic plan for the schools. It's 3 to 5 years, pushing out. Now, there's another strategic planning process that's been going on as well. And that's been about the new high school. That is focused entirely on Rogers High School and the new building. And what is it we have to think about and plan for our teachers and staff as they move into this new state-of-the-art building with I'll just say the latest and greatest types of technology. We're actually setting up model classrooms, and we have some very dedicated teachers over the summer. They're called ELFs, E-L-F, and they are going to model this equipment, this technology, this approach to teaching. And we're going to get feedback from teachers on what this means, because it's going to be very different in the sense that even now here at Rogers and at Thompson, teachers share their rooms, very similar to college campuses. And that has to do for a variety of reasons. Most of all, because we have the teaching methods have changed. We have small group instruction, especially for children from our ELL or MLL population, that we have created different programming to enable them to stay on grade level and to move forward. So the spaces we created, I'll say, for Thompson, even back in 2000, and over here at Rogers, which was way before that, we have to kind of manipulate the room assignments so that people do share their rooms. And the reason I bring that up is we have that strategic planning, which started in the summer and is continuing. So we're doing that.
Is merger off the table?
I'm not the person to ask that question.
I do have a follow-up on that. Ron wrote in and saying,
that is, that's a bigger question than I can answer. So
I have Ron wrote in and said, any discussions underway or planned with Middletown? This comes from a point of not understanding that Middletown and Newport do share resources, but I'm going to preface the question.
Okay.
Any discussions underway or planned in Middletown on collaboration or sharing of resources, as both schools officials said they would explore 9 months ago?
There have not, Ron, there have not been any further discussions. We do, as Ryan just mentioned, we do share resources as it is already. We actually share students. We have students from Middletown come to our CTE programming, and we have students from Rogers that go over to Middletown. But we do share some resources, especially, our professional development, what we do at times, purchasing, sometimes with curriculum. The director of teaching and learning works with the other directors and assistant soups on curriculum. But no, nothing like we did before the last vote. We have not come together on
My
that.
only follow-up is how close are you or the building committee watching the bond in Middletown?
Yeah, that was a question for sure.
How closely?
Yeah, are you paying it? Is it going to affect anything that you're doing if it passes or doesn't pass?
I don't know. I guess we'll have to see. I have
Just
no
give me
idea.
an answer. Either way.
I did. I don't know. I don't know. We're moving forward. We're building a new high school, and that's the track we're on right now. So
Okay.
we'll see.
So as you look forward, you've taken care of the elementary school, taken care of the high school. Any thoughts about Thompson in the future? What might be needed or not?
Yes, Thompson actually is in the stage 1, and it's actually mentioned just what I said earlier, because our programming and because of the services and the classroom space we need, we have to share classrooms. We're not necessarily using it. The building is not necessarily conducive to today's teaching. And yes, we do have quite a few things listed about Thompson in our stage 1 application draft.
I don't pay attention close enough over my lifetime, but once you get through Thompson, is the life of a superintendent or school department? Then all of a sudden you go, it's a big circle, and you go back and start with, I don't know, what's the oldest school, and then start raising money to fix that. I mean, is it constant, or we have a decade off or something?
No, I think, for instance, where we are right now, there was legislation, they halted any new school construction. And then when Governor Raimondo was here, she reignited it. If you have a good, I'll say, repair and maintenance and capital budget, you shouldn't they should last 50 to 100 years. Okay. And that's what we're building this building for, 50 to 100 years. But it's just a matter of maintenance. And we do have that budget as far as repair and maintenance and capital funds. The city has been very good about working with us as far as our capital improvement plan. We are in the middle right now of drafting that. Our tentative plan yesterday, we said we'll try to have this finished by October 10th or the 15th. We will review that, make sure for stage 1, if there are some things we can put in that, we'll put in that. And then from there, we'll submit it to the city. So it's on their radar screen as far as what we're seeing regarding our facilities. When the bonds were approved by the state for school construction, there was special legislation requiring all school districts to have at least X percent in their operating budget to address repair and maintenance. And that is just something you got to do. And I don't know if it was 3%. It was
3%.
Yeah. So it was gradually implemented, but now all of us have to, because the history does show that when you're doing your budgets and you don't have enough money to make ends meet, that was usually the first thing that went was the maintenance, repair.
One of the questions I had about that 3% right from the get-go was whether or not that's enough.
It's a good question.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, when it wasn't there for many years and things go by the wayside, it's not enough to catch up.
Yeah.
That's the nature of Rhode Island. That's why we're last in the nation in infrastructure, because we never put the money that was supposed to go into that infrastructure upkeep where it belonged. And what just went into that general fund, that black hole out there.
Mm.
Superintendent, what didn't we get to? Frank, you had a question?
I do. I want to get back to one I always ask, and that's about staffing. I was reading about Connecticut. Connecticut schools have a particular problem with staffing, and particularly with substitutes. Is that a problem? And then to dovetail that, is they've apparently developed a partnership with Quinnipiac University, and I don't know if that's maybe just New Haven, where in fact they're bringing on like 100 substitute teachers or students at the university to fill certain roles. And I thought about that. I read that and I thought, well, you have Salve and Roger Williams right at your doorstep. Is there any kind of a cooperation among them, and also whether or not you have any teacher shortages or substitute teacher shortages? That was a very short question.
Okay, so I'll start with the shortages. We've been very lucky this year. We do not have any teacher shortages. I believe we're fully staffed now. Let's see. So that's the first one. The second one is, as far as partnerships, we do have partnerships with Salve Regina University, Roger Williams University, actually, and with URI. And most of those partnerships are focused on the student teaching opportunities. As far as substitutes, we did raise our rate to $175 a day for substitutes. And we did find that that made a difference as far as getting consistency and the same people as far as substituting in our buildings. So we're doing okay there. And I applaud my HR director, Tracy Jakes, and Ron Gonzalez, who took a look at that and did a study on rates of pay, and they looked at different ways of funding for substitutes.
I do have one last question, and that's you had mentioned in your newsletters how attendance was going to be a priority. How are you doing with attendance?
Fair. And what I mean by fair is I would expect at this time of year to have higher percentages, but we're in the low 90s right now for some schools. Elementary, we're a little bit further up, but we do need to continue to work on that. The other thing about the attendance right now is so we're in week 4. And what's going to happen now is we're going to look at the student lists, and we're going to look at the names of children that we haven't seen since school started. So they're part of our attendance record right now. We have to make those adjustments. We need to get the word out. It's important for everyone to be in school. And that's been very challenging. And we're having community meetings, we're having dinners, and we're just trying to speak more to the students about it as well as, what is it and how is it we can work together to make sure children come to school. I know only because I was asked to be on a panel for the Annenberg Institute Brown. They're going to be coming out with a study. I think they're coming out on Thursday with that, and they're going to have a panel session. I think Rhode Island Foundation is going to sponsor it, and they're going to have a discussion about it because it's very interesting to look at the drop, and this goes to student enrollment, but the drop in student enrollment statewide, and actually the data they followed up on, because some were saying, well, everyone's going to private schools. If I can remember correctly, I don't think the preliminary findings are showing that. So hopefully I'll get the report on Thursday and read it carefully and see what's going on, because we've had large numbers, especially younger children, not around anymore. So we got to kind of find out what's going on there. So we have that. Attendance, yes. The other one we're focusing on is on parent engagement and parents being involved. Parents make a big difference when they talk to their children about school. Everyone makes a difference when they talk to children about school. I can talk to students in the hallway, and once you start talking to them, then they kind of, oh yeah, math or something, oh, my writing assignment. Taking that interest and as an adult sharing with young people how important education is huge. And I think the one thing I applaud the governor, the mayor, our school committee, keeping children the focus, but making sure that everyone's talking about education, how important it is.
Interestingly, as you know, a few weeks ago, maybe not even that long ago, there was a problem on Kennedy Plaza in Providence, where you had 300 high school kids converge on the plaza, and you had fights break out, and then the kids turned their attention to the police who were there. I happened to sit on a board of a friend of mine and a friend of yours, Kathy Vespia. up at Charette, and they're in the middle of all of that, and was in the midst of a discussion with some parents, and in all the discussion, getting back to who can have the most influence on these kids, came back to the parents,
Yeah.
more so
It's
than
you.
anybody else. And I noticed where you have a parent advisory council, where the first meeting is tomorrow morning.
It is. It's my Parent Advisory Council. First meeting's tomorrow, 9:30 at CCRI. And I also have a teacher advisory committee. I'll be meeting with the teachers in the afternoon. And I'm starting student meetings in about, I think, 2 weeks or a week. So I'll meet with high school and middle school students. So, yeah.
Excellent. I
Gonna be
just
talking
want
to a lot of
Colleen, speaking of attendance, you have perfect attendance for showing up to these interviews. And Frank, you get the 3 stars for reading the superintendent's email
I know.
newsletter very, very thoroughly. You're telling me things I missed in the newsletter. So nice job. Superintendent, anything that we missed? I know we're running up against the clock here, but anything that we didn't get to that you were hoping to?
I just want to encourage everyone to the point of staying with parents' engagement, being part of working with the schools. Our friend Newport Public Ed Foundation on Thursday night, 6 to 8 over at the Young Center on the Pell campus. They'll be having celebrating Newport Public Schools, the teachers, their work. It's a great fun event. And it's just, the more people that can come, the better. So an evening for education will be tomorrow, 6 to 8. And then everyone and anyone, again, going back to parents and their influence and getting involved. If parents, everyone, just click on those links. Tell us the good, the bad, and the ugly. We need to hear it because we want to create a powerful strategic plan to help move us forward. So that's very, very important. And our next school building project meeting is Monday night, 5:30 at Pell. And we welcome everyone to attend. And I believe we also live stream it. So if you want to watch it, you can do that as well. But we're moving forward. We're getting that building built that the voters voted on, and except the track. We got to get the track in there. And then to your point, Frank, for cosmetology and automotive, they're right on the radar screen as well. We're seeking out donations, we're seeking out grants, and I think we'll have a fundraising campaign starting in the very near future.
I just have 2 words: Jay Leno.
I know you keep saying that. He's so busy with the concourse and everything else. I never see.
Too busy.
I don't have that direct line to him. I'm going to have to work on that.
This is going to be a $5 per person campaign rather than somebody coming along and saving the day. It's going to be a community effort, I believe.
That's a good thing.
It is. It's going to be a community effort, and I can't reveal anything, but I've already had a very generous community Newport family come forward, but we got to work out the details. I don't want to tell everyone something and then something happens. So
all right. Well,
go.
maybe in what month? October. Maybe next month we will discuss that.
Yeah, we're very lucky. A lot of people care about Rogers High School and our community and our students. So thank you.
All right, Superintendent. We will see you next month.
All right.
Before
Take
Halloween.
care.
No costumes needed for Halloween.
Okay. Oh, that's right. Trunk or treats coming up. Don't forget.
All right.
Go Orioles.
That is Superintendent Colleen Burns-Jermain. We thank her for joining us. She joins us each and every month here on the last Wednesday of the month. If you missed any portion of the interview, want to watch it again, all available on whatsupnoop.com. Thanks for watching.